Yeah, it's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. They thought that we never knew. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. Tell me what you gonna do. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. They thought that we never knew. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. Tell me what you gonna do.
In the land of the feast, we are found in the streets. Misguided, we eat that freedom's in the mark of the beast. Destroys my soul to know that all we seeking is peace. Tell Jah we seek, we destined to remain as the least. Perception of realities, pollution can often cause confusion until the Father reveals a world of illusion designed to trap the mind behind bars. We'll rise from graves when we know who we are.
It's just another day in the West, living up the more for the less. Yes. The people who deserve the very least are the people with the most. Yes. It's just another day in the West, praying for the babe and the press. Yes. And still the people who the least are the people with the most.
When will the Father come, raising us all out of the ghetto slums, teaching us that our lives are the sum total of thoughts, doctrine implemented with force, whipping a horse, which were tools of the trade in Holocaust days. Look at the many ways the media attack us. They have you thinking our occupation is carjackers, international drug trafficking, gun clappers, as if it's always the way that we were. Tragedies occur when there's new laws feeding the bellies of rich, taking food from the poor people's table. The average individual unstable, desiring change but powerless, believing they ain't able to make a difference, buying into the system, the same that they built that's not grown up to diss them. Marley said the truth would offend, therefore I take refuge in Allah against the guises of men.
It's just another day in the West, giving up the more for the less. Yes. The people who deserve the very least are the people with the most. Yes. It's just another day in the West, praying for the babe and the press. Yes. And still the people who the least are the people with the most.
Well, I'll be rocking enemies overseas like the breeze of the Socrates of rich melodies. And if you take away the keys, singers and MCs and nothing but cheese on the shelf kind of reason why we ain't ready for war every season with the big belly Babylon treason. In these days where the least are the rebels and the poor never ever get to be the chosen.
It's just another day in the West, living up the more for the less. Yes. The people who deserve the very least are the people with the most. Yes. It's just another day in the West, praying for the babe and the press. Yes. And still the people who the least are the people with the most. It's just another day in the West, living up the more for the less. Yes. The people who deserve the very least are the people with the most. Yes. It's just another day in the West, praying for the babe and the press. Yes. And still the people who the least are the people with the most.
Yeah, it's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. They thought that we never knew. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. Tell me what you gonna do. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. They thought that we never knew. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. Tell me what you gonna do.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you all doing? Welcome to another Friday special evening where we are showcasing a series of some of our GPS graduates. How are you all doing? I hope you've had a good week. Really looking forward to spending a really good evening with you tonight. Can I get a thumbs up or hi to let me know that you can hear me okay? Is there anyone out there? Please let me know. Who do we have in the chat group? Okay, I can see Laura, Nathaniel, Alaide, Philippa, and Shawnette. Okay, great stuff. Hello, Alaide, how you doing? So welcome. How has your week been? It's really my great pleasure and honor, as always, to be able to spend some time with you this evening, as we do every Friday. And why do we do that? It's a way of us staying connected and sharing information. But as you will have noticed in recent weeks, we have been showcasing some of our GPS graduates from yesteryear till current day. And why have we done that? Because for me, it's my way of saying a special thank you to these individuals and acknowledging them and showcasing them, because had it not been for these individuals showing trust and faith in my vision and my work to want to invest in people, I might not be here today to share with you in the way that I am doing. And so through my meditation earlier on in the year, at the beginning of the year to be precise, it just came strong to me that I should pause to acknowledge those individuals who have meant so much to me, because they actually played a part in helping to help me get clarity. And you know, I'm the clarity guy, but they helped me to gain clarity about my work. You see, when I started back in 2013 with this vision that, yes, I was going to do this grow personal success thing, I didn't know what the thing looked like, but I knew that there was a desire to want to help a wider group of people other than just the young people that I'd been working with prior to 2013. Little did I know the shape it was going to take. And little did I know, as I began to engage in mentoring and coaching with people as a result of writing the book, I began to see a pattern. And the pattern that I began to see was that people were wanting to have me focus on the spirituality. We did a survey and research of some of the people I've been working with. And the number one thing that came up time and time again was people's desire to want to know more about spirituality and how spirituality can actually play a part in our everyday life. So irrespective of what religion you are, we've had people I've worked with people who were Muslims and at the end have said, you've made me a better Muslim, as well as Christians who have said, you've made me realize that I didn't have faith. So for me, it's a privilege and an honor to be in this space, investing, supporting people to realize their vision of success. And there is nothing better, in my humble opinion, that a person can do than to direct your energy and use that energy, your life force, to support another individual. So with that said, I am really excited about tonight. Like I said, it's these people that have really made a difference, a significant difference in my life, and enabled me to go on this journey of even greater self-discovery. And I just want to start off by asking, maybe put a chat in the group. How has your week been? Because I have had a week like no other. And so I want to see if you've had a similar week. You know, what's been the highlight of your week? And whilst you're gathering your thoughts, I'll share mine. For me, when I began in 2013, my key message was wake up. And I'd sing this song by Teddy Pendergrass, the Wake Up song. I won't go into it now, but it was really about making people aware that we needed to get ready, prepare, and that was particularly through our minds for a change. And so last year, that change came. And sadly, some people were ill prepared because they hadn't heeded the warning, and that's how life is. But for some people who were prepared, they've been able to take their lives to a whole new level. And so I say that because for me this week, I've seen this rise in the feminine energy that I keep talking about, but I've seen it in abundance in terms of women who are open to life. And I'm seeing that feminine energy just wanting to bring healing in communities, wanting to bring change through individuals who are not just talking about what should be done, but ready to put a commitment down, ready to put themselves in a position where they are ready to pay a price. And I'm not talking financially, but not just financially, but commitment, because this is something that is lacking in our communities. And so for me this week, I've had four women who, if you'd have asked me 2 weeks ago, would I have thought that these individuals might want to step in the way that they have done, I would have said not at all. But for me, it's an indication that, as I've said from the beginning of the year, this is the year of harvest. And as a result, what that requires is for us to be bold in our ambitions, bold in our vision, because this year is the harvest year. And so you have to declare what it is that you want to experience in terms of your visions and your goals. But most important, you have to also be prepared to take action. And so I had to take some time out yesterday. I was so wowed by this move of women who are saying, listen, I want to be a part of the change. And it was just so unexpected. I was like, I had to just take a moment to meditate, to work out, okay, what is life saying? And I believe that what life is saying is that there is significant change on the horizon coming through individuals like the ladies that I'm going to be introducing this evening, and some of the other ladies that are coming through. Brothers, big shout out to you. When I say it's the rise of the feminine energy, I'm not saying this is just about women. It is also about brothers who are in touch with their feminine energy. But when I say feminine energy, really what I'm talking about is a different way of being, a different way of operating. The feminine energy works on the premise of we all benefit, we all grow together. It's a holistic approach, a win-win scenario, as opposed to that paradigm that we've moved from, where it was male dominated in the energy, which was really all about winner takes all, and I don't care about you as long as I get mine. And so if that resonates with you, then you're definitely gonna enjoy this evening. So before let me just go straight in and announce or introduce our first guest. So Laura, are you in the house? I'm going to promote you. So whilst Laura is coming up, I just want to share a little bit about Laura. She has quite a big family, 4 boys and big men. And she is passionate about self-discovery. Now, let me just see, maybe right. I was like, are you there, Laura?
I'm here, Tony.
How's it going?
I'm really well, thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
You're looking really well.
Thank you.
Really happy to see you.
Thank you.
So I was just doing a little intro before you came in. I was just saying that, you have a big family, a mother with 4 strong boys.
Absolutely.
And who are men.
Yes.
And one of them's got a beard, and he loves his food. Shout out to Lance. Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, he's in the house. Okay.
He's here. Of course, he's here.
He must be.
Yes.
Because I mentioned and shout him out because our meeting is really as a result of this young man, right?
Absolutely.
So you're a worldly woman in the sense that, you're a mother, you're a wife, you've been working for decades. So one would look at you, I'm sure many women would look at you and say, well, she's accomplished, She's got it all. Tell me a little bit about the Laura that existed before we met and what prompted you to kind of make this move, because I'm hoping that through this evening and the sharing of your story, and the reason why we're sharing these stories is really to allow people to recognize that there's more commonality than dissimilarity.
Absolutely.
And hopefully women who may be, or people who may be where you were back then, may be inspired to take action. So
Good evening, everyone, especially a good evening to the Soul family. And for those of you who know me, a lot of you know my story already, but I would like to share to people who don't know me. So my name's Laura and I am married. I've been married for over 30 years. I think it's about 30, I've lost count. I think it's about 35 years now. But my husband and I, we've been together, it'll be 40 years this year. And we've got 4 sons. Before my journey with GPS, I was a mum, and I literally just, I was just a house. I used to say I was just a housewife. That's how I used to describe myself, because I didn't put any value on staying at home. Because when I used to go into the social settings and people say, what do you do? I used to say, I'm just a housewife. Until
wow.
I realized that just a housewife, that was really putting myself down, in the sense that I didn't actually value the job that I was actually doing, raising my family.
Right. So you didn't value yourself.
No.
And you didn't value the importance, that like the bedrock that you were providing. Why is that? And why was that?
I'm not sure, Tony, because I think all the women, all the mothers around me at the time, they were all working mums.
Yeah, well, I asked the question because I think I know. If you don't, let me offer something to you, because I remember back in those days, we're probably talking about maybe 20, maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah.
That in society, the social conditioning that many of us were subject to was that you had to be out there working.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And unbeknown to us, and this is why we have our Mind Reset program, we were being brainwashed to be workers for the system.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a career and going out to work and earn money, but don't ever get it twisted. That is no way more important than a woman who's made a conscious decision to stay home to invest in her children.
And it was my husband that decided. He just said, Laura, because I did try to go back to work and I found it so stressful. And I realized that what I wanted as a family life, we just didn't have that quality. So Dave said to me, Laura, the money we're spending on childcare, you're working part-time, you might as well just stay home to look after the children. And he said, and because he's an electrician, he said, I can go out and do the extra hours to make up the money that you were earning. And that's what he did.
Wow. Well, big shout out to my main man.
Yeah.
Wow, what a man of vision.
Yeah. So, and I did that for many years. I think that when the 2 younger ones went into, they were, I think, in year 4 and 5 in primary school, I then decided that I would go back to college, do an IT course, and that's when I went back into the work environment. So I went back into the work environment in 2004.
Okay, so we see that, you've been married for many years and you've got a man beside you who has vision and who is ready to stand up and support his family. And so by all accounts, many people would say you got it going on. So what happened? Let's fast forward. What was unsettling in your life?
As I was saying, so I had the family, but within that, I still felt that something was missing. I felt that I needed more. I felt that I hadn't fulfilled my life. And
what do you mean by that?
There was something missing, Tony. I used to say to my husband, if I didn't have children and if I wasn't married, I would be in Africa doing charity work, supporting. Okay, so I knew that I wanted to go and do some kind of service, but it was unclear. It was unclear what I wanted to do.
Right.
So that was the first thing, the first vision that I had. But also, if I can just share, being at home, you lose your confidence because you're just around children all day long. So you actually lose the sense of who you are. And I lost myself. I lost who Laura was. I didn't believe in who I was. And I was very, very, what's the word? I was insecure.
Okay.
So I was insecure.
I can totally understand it, and I'm sure many women could relate. So you're searching for something, you're feeling insecure, looking after the children, not really got in stimulating conversation.
Not thinking I was good enough.
Like that. Yeah. But what then happened to cause you to want to make a change and take action towards that?
Yeah. So years later, Tony, I then started to work on Laura because I realized that I cannot continue in this kind of, just be thinking like that. I obviously found a job, went to work, and I was on this hamster wheel of life because I got trapped.
When you say work on Laura, what does that mean? You mean
working on Laura? So I started to read some motivational books, and I started to go deep into spirituality, finding who I was. And there was a lot of digging. I actually thought that I had done really, really well on myself because I became this very, very confident woman that I would, I knew who I was because I started to work on myself.
Okay.
So I thought.
Okay. So what happened?
So I then started to, I went to work, and then I realized I was in the rut race. Lance obviously had found you, and he knew how I felt, and he told me about you. When he graduated, I went to his ceremony, we met, and everything you said, Tony, it resonated with me because that was exactly what I was doing. But when you offered me that, are you ready to? I said no.
Just to be clear, so that people can understand what you're referring to.
Yeah.
When you say, "Are you ready?" I gave you an invitation
to join
the Grow Personal Success
absolutely
program.
Yes.
And as a result of that invitation, at that time you weren't ready, but then at some time in the future, you then
fast forward 2019, I attended one of your events, and again I felt ready. And I think it was after, because my mother had died, I felt that I had the space to work on me on a deeper level.
Okay.
And working. So when I said yes to you, that for me was when I started to see the results that I was looking for in life.
Okay, so it's really important to pause right there, in the sense that when you say that, when you said yes, that was really a response to what we now realize has been your soul cry for almost 30 years, that you've been looking for something, searching for something, but hadn't really found what it was. And that was really to pursue, to identify and begin to pursue your purpose.
Absolutely. And I knew that I wanted to serve. And I remember praying to God, asking him, what was my purpose? Why am I on this planet? There has to be a reason for me to just be here. I can't just be here, just surviving. There was something, I knew that there was something that I had to give the world.
Question.
That was the question.
If you had a husband and children and work and, you know, a nice home, what I'm thinking about the people that are listening, you know, and you're talking about purpose, this being so important that you almost felt like life wasn't worth living. I mean,
yeah.
What was that?
Can I just share that when I said to my husband, I felt unfulfilled, and he said to me, what are you talking about? He said, he said to me, you need to just be grateful for what you have, because he didn't understand what I was talking about.
Because what you were talking about was really more from a soul purpose point of view. I mean, he's coming around now, he kind of gets it.
Yeah.
But it's really important to make that clear, because some people will be listening and some people will be feeling that sense of emptiness and a sense of void. And that's why I wanted to make that point really clear, because even more so in this season that we're living in, with the rise of the feminine energy, there are many people, both male and female, who are questioning their very existence, particularly as a result of COVID. The question, the self-inspection is going on, and you may not have the answer. Well, if you're in that space, then that is probably an indication that you're on the verge of moving into a new dimension of fulfillment. Back over to you, Laura. So you found this opportunity for us to work together. Let's talk about that journey. What was that like for you?
When the very first event that I had with you, when you invited me to do the mind reset, and when I joined the mind reset, Tony, it was almost like I had unlocked something in my mind. It was like the key turning to open the doorway of understanding another way of living. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Tell us some more.
So the whole thinking, the way I used to think was, I thought I was very positive in my thoughts until you started to tell me or show us, because it was when you gave me the vision and goal sheet. And for the first time in my life, I actually sat down to ask myself, what does Laura really want in her life? And
sorry, are you saying that's the first time in your life that you'd asked yourself such a broad question relating to the different areas of your life?
Yes. When you I looked at the vision and go, and if I'm honest with you, I struggled with that. It was, and I had so many different feelings, because for the first time I was actually looking at my vision, and if I could, what would I do to identify the pathway that I wanted to take? And when I did that and I submitted it to you, and we did the first course, after the first course, I then realized I wanted so much more than that. So I then enrolled on the personal one-to-one with you. And I think that's when I realized, oh my goodness, there's so much more to Laura.
And that's the beauty of why we want to showcase you, so that others may perhaps, tap into what you're saying. That the truth of the matter is that most of us we live our lives falling short of our true potential.
Yes.
And we don't realize the importance of having a mentor or coach. Not that I'm advocating for one, but I'm saying that if a person is really serious about wanting to take their life to the next level, then you should be willing to challenge yourself, because that's the only way.
Definitely. Tony, I would advocate to everyone, if they want change in their life, they should definitely invest in themselves and invest in a coach.
Well, you know, people are going to struggle with that, because especially in our community, this is a very recent phenomenon. The idea of taking your hard-earned cash and investing it in yourself by way of giving it to a coach.
Yeah.
So, but despite that, from what you've experienced, you would advocate it?
Absolutely, because a coach will see something that you cannot see. A coach, they tap into your gifts. Tony, as soon as I started to work with you, you saw something in me that it was already there, but I didn't know how to draw it out and, navigate it. So
I understand that. And as I was saying earlier on before you came on, I was saying a big shout out to you and all of the people that I've been blessed to work with, because what I have identified through working with you and everyone else is that there is a certain type of individual that's rising up now that is looking for clarity around their soul's purpose.
Absolutely.
What they are here to do. And there's a deep knowing, but not necessarily an understanding. And that's why for 30 years, you're kind of complaining to your husband, but not really complaining, but it was just a deep.
I was searching. And, I can honestly say to you now that I am so comfortable, because I feel like the jigsaw puzzles, the pieces are clicking together. Okay,
so tell us, what is that like now then, in terms of, so you were in the wilderness for many years. We've managed to meet and be inspired by your son and gone on your own personal journey. Yes. And it's now caused you to blossom in so many ways. Can you share, just by way of example, one or two illustrations that can give people a demonstration of the shift from the old Laura to the new Laura?
So what I've actually realized is that, so every morning it's the state of gratitude, and the whole thinking, my whole thinking system has just shifted, that I've got clarity in the direction that I want to go, in the sense that I now know that I want to serve women who have gone through the same experience as me, because a lot of us are going through life feeling that we do not belong, or we are not good enough in life. And we go around having this insecurities or unworthiness about ourselves. And a lot of us, we don't tell anyone about how we're feeling. We just keep it to ourselves. And by me doing this journey with you, Tony, I've identified that that's where I want to be, working with women who have experienced what I've experienced on that journey of life, if that makes sense. Just so feeling a little bit.
Are you saying that you actually want to work with women who are where you used to be?
Yes. Okay. And just to because when people see me, and this is just people have fed back to me, you're so confident, and I say to them, I wasn't like that before. That's not what, this is me now. But I used to be like you many, many years ago. And I've coached a number of women who are in that situation, but they are just going through life not wanting to step forward. But I would say to anyone that if you take that first step, your gift's already inside of you. And it's just a matter of finding the right coach to take you and guide you to where you want to be.
Wow. I mean, that sounds like powerful stuff. And so what I love about what you've said is that you have seen a significant transformation to the point that you have decided that this is what you actually want to do. I mean, I hope you don't mind me saying, but you know, when you told me that you wanted to make the bold step of actually working less hours in your 9 to 5 to give you more time so that you can begin to be available for people. Now, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the feminine energy, the desire, the willing to commit to wanting to invest in other people. And I just want to, I'm not wearing a hat today. If I was, I would have taken my hat off to you. But I want to acknowledge you and your partner in crime that's going to be coming up in a moment, and all of the other women who are stepping up, because I truly believe that this is the way that we are going to heal our community, heal the community by and through women who have a wealth of experience in life, in work, in just so many things that as a mature person, you can now decide to give that and share that with the next generation coming up. So I want to just thank you. And we're going to pause there for a moment, because I'm going to have you come back in a moment and we're going to have a Q&A and questions. But I want to pause it there and bring our Suzette on so that we can have a conversation, and then I'll bring you back. Okay. Thank you, Laura. Okay, so I believe she's making things interesting for me because I can't see her name, but I think I know that she's here. So, do we have Suzette in the house?
Hello.
Hi, Suzette. Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really great.
Good.
Partner in crime here.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's go straight in. I mean, I haven't known you as long as Laura, but from the first time we met, we had a conversation and you were on a journey. I mean, at the time, our connection was through our late business coach, Ella Bramson, who was really big on wanting to support entrepreneurs take responsibility for their lives and do something. And so we met, and when we met, I could tell that this was a woman who had the drive and wanted to do some stuff. But I got the vibe also that you were really pushing yourself perhaps a little too hard. But we had a conversation, and I remember, I'll never forget the phrase, because I thought about it afterwards, and I thought, she didn't cuss me out. When I mentioned, I'm like, you suffering, it seems like you got the strong, what did I say? Was it the strong black woman syndrome?
Yeah, exact words.
Yeah, and I didn't, the good thing is I didn't mean it in any disrespect, and you understood what I meant in the sense that strong black woman trying to do so many things to the point that you almost numbed yourself as a result of just focusing on, I've got to do this for the kids, I've got to do this for my work, I've got to do this, I've got to do this for everyone else, and forgetting about you. And I'm sure many women can relate to that. And so we were in a group, a small group of individuals, and there were at least one other woman there. And when I made the statement, I kind of noticed, because she wasn't from our community. And Yeah, I just felt the energy just kind of shift because she was like, okay, I can't contribute to that comment. But you understood exactly what I was referring to. And that afternoon, I suggested that you come to one of our events because I felt that there was a person that I just sensed in my spirit that you definitely would connect with. And so I invited you. You already had a commitment that day. And so I think I put it to you, well, this is a great opportunity. Are you going to do the same thing, be there for others as opposed to be there for yourself? And you made a decision right there and then to cancel that appointment that you had booked and come along. And I'm mentioning that as a starting point because for many of us in life, we don't realize that the journey to your next level of greatness starts with a decision to commit. And you made that decision and it changed your whole world.
I can't believe it was only just over a year ago, really, isn't it? It's not that long. No. And so much has happened. I remember it completely. And it's so interesting that you reminded me of that comment about strong Black woman, because yes, it resonated straight away. But listening to Laura, I just thought of my mum just now when you said it, because that was my mum. So I was, wow. There's no choice. That's what you are. You're a strong Black woman. You get on with it.
So are you saying that almost unbeknown to you, you were morphing into your mother?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, most definitely. In more ways than one, because we're going to be talking about where I was sort of before joining you, but I just not too long before finished a long-term relationship and wasn't in the best of place in that regard. But, I'm a strong Black woman. I'm just getting on with things. So I started doing this entrepreneurial stuff with Errol. And that was amazing, because actually what I love about that is the fact that his vision was also for people to go on that journey of entrepreneurship throughout the world, really. So it wasn't even just, obviously not just in Canada, but he wanted to expand it to places like Africa. And I just thought, I love this idea. I really loved it. And I'm pretty sure some of the sessions I had with him, I was talking about, giving it all up and, going straight in. But he always advised not to do that straight away. Well, you would know, wouldn't you? I have a full-time job, so that's where it is. And he doesn't advise people to give it up straight away. It's just start building. And yeah, so I started thinking even more that, yes, I can start my own thing, but to continue working as I am now and start building the business around it. So I had the mindset already about knowing that, I'm going to have to work, continue working, and that's fine. But it's doing what exactly? That was the way you came in.
Right. Okay. So wanting to find clarity around, because this is an important decision you're about to make. You know what you want to do, but it's like, okay, but specifically in what area? And so, please go ahead.
When I worked with Errol, we looked at different things. And in fact, I was trying out different things, what you'd call drop shipping, selling, but wasn't really me. And meeting you is when this thing about purpose came in.
Okay. So that was the difference, because I've always wondered, because Errol is a fantastic business coach, 47 businesses, but you're saying you didn't want to just do business to make money. It was about you wanted to do something that was in line with your purpose that would also then pay you dividends.
And I think, to be fair to Errol, he talks about purpose as well, but somehow it was in a different level. And I think what's different, and what was different, is it was introducing me to the Rich Society, because I came to about 2 meals before actually joining properly. And obviously that's where I met Laura for the first time, after you suggested me coming along and meeting her. And the community, that's when that started to resonate with me. And then I went to the first event I think you did at the Middlesex University.
That's right, yes.
That was in February, I think.
Of last year, just before lockdown.
No, that's not the one I came to. You did 2. I did the one you did on the minor reset, the vision.
Yeah, we did 2 in February. When was the first?
So I only went to 1.
1st of February, that's the one.
That's the one I went to.
Yeah.
And that was when I knew I was in the right place. I told you, I think I told you, and I did the video. I felt emotional. I could hardly speak. I was just like, it was just the feeling of, no, this is it. This is what, because I felt I could be myself. And you touched on it when you talked to Laura earlier. Even in that session, it was about the visioning and the 5 pillars. I hadn't read your book as yet, actually. No, I hadn't. But I followed all of that because I'd done lots of development stuff before. I knew about visioning. I thought I did. And but what was the main thing that stood out was people were able and felt able to speak about their spirituality.
So that was the difference for you, wasn't it?
It really was. Really was. And in lots of ways, it continues to be.
Wow, because you are a Christian woman.
Yeah.
And I think before we'd met, you had kind of, would it be fair to say that they were kind of separate in your mind? Or I'm just trying to understand how this new perspective that you gained as a result of us working together, because it seems to me as an observer that it's even deepened your faith. And I'm just trying to understand, like, what's the element that's
definitely deepened my faith. I don't think I've ever mentioned this to you, but I think it was at the meal. I might have been to 2 meals, and it was Sarah, one of our members. I was like, "Oh, I'm a Christian. I'm not sure how this, fits."
That's what I meant. That's exactly what I meant.
That was it. And she sat and spoke to me briefly, and she said, actually, since I've joined and working with Brother Ishmael as well,
my mentor,
your mentor, my faith has got deeper and stronger. And I just never forget, at that point, she got up and I wanted to say, no, come back. But it was fine. But now I know exactly what she means. But you have to go on the journey yourself. So
absolutely. And you're absolutely right. And this is why I say, and why we're doing this, that we recognize that we're not here for everyone. It really is, it's really that person who has their own inner soul cry of wanting to find their purpose and wanting to live a life that is fulfilling. And I think you and Laura are really ahead of the game in many respects, that in the weeks and months and years to come, we're going to find more and more people who are going to be searching for their purpose. And you only have to look at what's going on in the world, with technology and AI and automation. Many jobs that we used to do are going to disappear. And it's going to leave people with that question. Well, what am I going to do in order to give my life meaning? And so that's why I say that you both are ahead of the game in many respects, because you are already on that journey.
Most definitely.
And so how has that journey been for you since we began working? You know, you took the GPS one-to-one mentoring program. I mean, can you give us one or two examples or illustrations as to, you know, some kind of outstanding experience or benefit that you can draw on to illustrate to people who don't know anything about the Grow Personal Success program? They'll be like, okay, yeah, I hear you, but you know, give me an example.
There's so many, really, because I did take the fast track, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
And yeah, and there were times my head was spinning, but most of it, I would say, or pretty much all of it actually, it's just been an amazing journey, but it's a roller coaster. Things that stood out for me was the business challenge that myself and Laura shadowed. So that was the GPS.
Yeah.
That started out with initially a little bit of uncertainty how it was going to turn out. But one of the things I noticed was I know you have a thing about doing everything to a degree of excellence, but that was really shown in that program. And it's also, for me, the way you ensure that people honored each other in terms of making sure everyone turned up on time. And again, that spiritual thread that went through the whole of that. And we supported each other. And I feel that it was all on webinar, but by the end of, I can't remember how many weeks it was, what was astounding, I could almost feel that energy. And I call it agape love, but it was so profound.
Wow.
Because I gained so much from it, even though I didn't bring any challenges, but seeing other people grow. So that stands out because those are the things that made me know for sure that this is what I want to do. And
sorry, please go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we haven't touched on the fact that earlier on with the mind reset and the visioning, you also helped me to identify my purpose and what I wanted to do, which is to work with Black men. That came about. Yeah, that was incredible because I know I've known I've wanted to work with people. I've done loads of, my day job is working with people, using coaching skills to support and help them. But I didn't know. And through using the visions, you helped me to identify that. And it was like a switch.
Wow. What, a switch in your mind?
Yeah, because it was already there, but it wasn't on.
Wow. Wow. Like reset for real.
Yeah, it really was. Because now I'm like, how come you didn't know that?
It's really important that you said that because that's what it's like for many people. As you always, I'm often saying that the knowledge and the information that we're looking for is already in us. But if we don't honor ourselves, which means give time to pay attention to our thoughts and our feelings and our visions and our goals, you might just miss it. And you might just have missed it. And that's why until you get to that point where the light's on, it's only then you can say, but you know this all the time. How comes you didn't make that move?
I think I don't believe in coincidences anymore anyway. That's another thing that I've discovered on this journey. So it was meant to be, and I'm where I should be. That's basically it. But definitely without that session, I can always remember it now. And we were talking about men and, my experiences, but, how I still feel Black men particularly are really disadvantaged in our society and they get a bad deal, especially in employment. And it just went on. And then you would say things like, and after your experiences, you still want to sort of help black men. I would like to help. I said, I'd love to. And then I realized what I was saying. It wasn't planned. It was but yes, it's the importance of having a mentor. It is just such a, I wouldn't have come onto that on my own. I would not have.
Wow. Incredible. And of course, once I brought it squarely in front of you, it was like a light switch. You're like, well, of course, this is what I'm passionate about. My whole life has been a demonstration of me being passionate about this. And this is what happens to many of us, that because we don't take time to look at our life, the journey of our life, the crumbs have been there all along, but we just don't take time to check it out.
But you know, now I'm realizing, because I'm also, like Laura, working as a GPS training practitioner, so meeting others and supporting them. A lot of our journeys, we do need someone to go along with us on that journey.
For sure.
Yeah. Because some of the things that I would sort of be helping someone to see, it's the same sort of response. Oh, whoa, this is what I want to do, you know.
Absolutely.
And there's an understanding that was already there.
Absolutely. And what is really important, particularly in this time, is that what some of you are doing is breaking new ground. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the work that you want to do, the work that Laura wants to do, is specifically for particular niches within our society, where you're rising up and saying, no more do we want to be relying on the system or the wider society to come and address our problems. They're never going to understand them the way that we know and understand them. And that for me is courageous, it's bold, but as you've said, no man is an island. So there is going to be a need for support as well.
And you know, I feel that's one of the reasons this feels like home as well, because I feel strongly that we need to take things forward for ourselves. It's not quite always blaming, you know, what's happened in the past. It's in the past, and I know it still affects us, but we have to take charge now and support our community.
Yeah.
And not be the victims all the time. We need to.
Absolutely. And it's important to say that when we say that, we're actually not referring to, because the soul family is that, it's really a group of people who are on their journey of self and soul discovery and fulfilling that purpose, fulfilling that sense of this is what I'm here to do. But it may for some people be specific to a genre of people. Like I know we have some people who their aspirations is to work with women who are who are experiencing teenage pregnancy. Yeah. Yours is particularly Black men. Someone else might be alcoholics. You know, at the end of the day, that all constitutes the rich society. And my vision is that as we clearly are beginning to build what our message is in terms of self-determination, finding a sense of purpose and fulfilling that, well, we'll begin to build a community of practitioners who can cover a multitude of different areas, and they all subscribe to the same philosophy. Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to feel like, I don't need to go anywhere else. No. And this is what you're doing. And so you have had a roller coaster. It has been a lot of work, but you have been bold and courageous and just kept pushing on. And you've inspired a lot of people in the rich society and the soul family. Because as I mentioned at the beginning, I think we now have, there's potentially half a dozen women who have wanted to, it's just crazy. So I'm like, what is life trying to do? Because I'm only one brother. So we're looking at how we can allow what life wants to clearly do within our community, because we can't experience abundance until we've gone through that healing process. And so that I can clearly see is what is required in society, in our rich society. But at the same time, the work now is about how do we set this up in such a way that it's structured correctly so that you all can fulfill your potential and serve the wider community. And so I was really, really pleased when you one stepped forward and said, yeah, Tony, I want to do this. But then two, when you came and you approached me with this idea that you had wanting to submit an application for some funding. And I said, yeah, of course, we'll support you. And so proud and pleased that you actually were successful in getting this funding. And so now you're literally doing it. And of course, I've said to you that, look, we're going to look to see how we can match fund that. So you now have double the resources to be able to go out into the community and support Black men, which is your vision. I mean, that is to be able to achieve all of that in 15 months. What do you say?
My head's still spinning, right? I mean, that was incredible. As I said, there's so much on this journey. You asked me earlier what were the standing out points, but I don't think I would have had the confidence even to have gone for that if I hadn't started this journey. So when it came, I knew I had to do it. And I mentioned earlier, coincidence, 2 people saw this project and sent it to me by email separately. And I just thought, wow, what is the universe saying to me? What is God saying? You've got to do this. And it's in an organization that when we were working on trying to get a network in terms of Black men, I'd already made contact with them.
Wow.
you know, this it's too incredible. And I mean, our rich society has got a lot of women in it. And one of the wonderful things that I've experienced since starting this journey is the men that you've brought on to talk to people. And it's just been great, just seeing men, successful men, that it's really encouraging. But as members, it would be great to see more men within.
Yeah, well, we know that men generally seem to struggle with that whole right mind, you know, that creative aspect, which causes you to do a lot of introspection and you know, the natural state for many brothers is to be very logical. They need to see evidence, you know, measurement, quantitative and qualitative data. And I just hope that they catch on real quick, because that world is shutting down, meaning that we no longer are going to just be relying on data, you know, quantitative and qualitative data. It's also about the heart of things, the spirit of things. And this is what we've been missing. And if it's all about profits, it's all about numbers. Yes, that has a relevance, because if you're running a business, you need the data, but it's also about the heart. You know, I remember doing an interview with Michael Beckwith from The Secret, The Law of Attraction, and he talked about, and this was back in 2016, and he talked about this new way of doing business based on the 4 Ps, he said. He said, it's no longer just about profit, but it's about, yes, you think about your profit, but you think about the planet, and you think about people, and you think about purpose. And I thought, yeah. And this is really what we're talking about today, isn't it? Sums up in terms of what you and Laura are doing. You see, the person who's just thinking about the data and just thinking about profit, unfortunately, that world no longer is going to have dominance in our world today, because we can see how the world is, and not many people like it this way. And so there is that spirit of change, and that spirit of change is the rise of that feminine energy holistically, allowing us to recognize that there is another way. And of course, we're reading the Celestine Prophecy in our book club, and so you're seeing that there is another way. So I want to publicly congratulate you for being bold. I mean, you kind of, you wobble sometimes, but for the most part, you know, you are just steadfast. And as I've said, I truly believe that you have inspired a number of people, a number of women. And so my wish, my vision is that as a group, we now are able to be more influential in the wider community and expand our reach and show people that they also can have this experience, because what we've developed is a thinking system, a new way of applying your mind in such a way that it is really about growing your personal vision of success. So thank you once again. Don't go away. I'd like to invite Laura to come and join us so that perhaps I say, because I think people may just be in awe of what they've heard this evening, but to see if there's any questions that anyone might want to ask. I mean, is there, both of you have listened to each other. Do either of you have a question that you'd like to ask each other?
Ooh. You know what, Tony? We speak so often on the phone.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm just trying to think.
So, well, you both met on that day when I suggested to Suzette that she meet you, and that was just over a year ago. And I mean, it's been pretty amazing how the two of you seem to share so many life notes and similarities. And for me, the reason why I gave that invitation to you, Suzette, is because, and I'd like to know your thoughts on this, but my experience, having worked with a number of women, is that there are a ton of women out there who are in that same space of feeling, sensing, wanting to be more, but just feeling isolated and on their own. I mean, what would you say to that? Would you say there's any truth in that?
Well, sorry, Suzette, go on.
No, I was going to say that was one of the things when I met Laura that I thought was amazing, that she wanted to do that work. So yes, it's amazing. I think that's that was a connection, because you wanted to work with women, and within our community, and I wanted to work with men. It was just
And I think, Tony, it's because I could identify with that. I as I said, when I was growing up, I had such low self-esteem. I didn't value. I valued myself, but I didn't value. I didn't think I was good enough to go into society to be something, if that makes sense.
Yes, I understand. And again,
I think fear as well was what was stopping me, if I'm honest with you. I used to think of all these things, but I was so scared of stepping forward and stepping into what I was supposed to do.
And this, I'm sure, is the case for many women and men, in that we think that the safest thing is to just obey instructions and stay on the conveyor belt, go to work, come home, go to work, come home, and pay the bills, as opposed to what do I really want, and believing that it's possible. And I think this is the reason why I'm so pleased to invite you ladies and to share, because that's the message that needs to go out, that the mind reset allows you to remove the glass ceiling in all areas of your life. But it's a catch-22, because you don't know what you don't know. And until something dramatic happens, they'll be listening to our conversation and think, oh yeah, those guys are just chatting. They're just chatting about it.
It's just a beautiful journey. All I can say is what used to bother me before no longer bothers me, because my mind, I don't worry about the things that are not important anymore. So, you've just got a different, you're just looking for the positive in all aspects of life, because if you have a choice, don't you, as to how you want to respond to life.
Only when you come to the place of awareness.
Absolutely, because this journey, what we are on, you have taught us about being conscious aware, and most people don't have that. And if you do not have that conscious awareness, you will just continue on the hamster wheel that I call it.
Yeah.
Just going to work, coming home, sleep, and that's your day 5 days a week. Weekend, you're rushing around like a headless chicken, cramming everything in.
So tell me, here's a question for you both. You've now adopted this new way of being. How is it received in your own personal communities? I mean, because I imagine that you're talking to other people about it. And do you find that there is an openness for people to want to experience? I mean, like, how do we bring this message to people so that they can embark on their own journey? Suzette?
Yes, it's interesting. I have a really good little scenario, not even a scenario, a thing to share with you both. A friend of mine, and I hope she's watching tonight because I sent her an invite. She said to me, Suzette, speaking to you now, you sound like, it's like you're a butterfly that's just come out of the pure, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, is that what she said?
She did. And I'd spoken to her, oh gosh, very briefly actually last year. And then she said she picked it up then. And I was talking about this journey. So is it the pupa? I can't remember my biology.
I don't know. I can't remember.
But the stage between, yeah. So that was beautiful. And my children have noticed the difference and are constantly saying to me how proud they are of me, because it is a challenge. It's a lot of work, especially if you're still doing a full-time job.
Yeah.
But what's been amazing is the journey as well. I've been considering going part-time for ages, but I've gone part-time, as you know, Tony. February, I dropped today, and that again is around the commitment that I have to this sole purpose that I've discovered. So
wow. And I'm really excited because it's really humbling. The last 8 or so years has been a journey of faith and believing that I just needed to hold the fort and the right people would emerge who shared the same kind of vision and wanted to make a difference in the community and ready to make that commitment. And I'm so pleased that the two of you have stepped up, and Beverly should have been with us this evening, but she's taking some time out because she's been working so hard. So we send out our love to Bev, but there are also other ladies in the wings. And what that says to me is that, if this foundation has been possible to be laid with myself and just a small number of, people, big shout out to Natty and Glennis. Well, as we build on that and we have more of us reaching out to the community, then truly I believe that we will be able to build the rich society and support more and more people in a similar way that you both have been able to have that experience. That's my vision. What's yours?
And I do believe, Tony, that this is so needed, because I think COVID has actually highlighted the need for us to have something like this in terms of supporting our community. And we are not very good at coming forward to ask for help.
Wow.
We tend to hold it, because it's an old belief that you keep your business to yourself. So we do not reach out to say, I'm struggling, can you help?
Until it's too late.
Yes. I know somebody who has been, she's been off work for for a whole year, and she didn't tell anyone.
What?
Yeah. She didn't want to ask for help.
So when you say
she was embarrassed.
So when you say she's been off work, you mean been
because of COVID?
So she was taken off work, like on sick leave or something like that?
No, she just she lost her job because of COVID.
Oh, she lost her job.
She lost her job because
and
of
so
COVID.
What you're saying is that, let me just get this right. So she's lost her job. So income obviously has plummeted.
Yeah.
But you're saying that she didn't share it with anyone because of
embarrassment. Yeah.
And so suffered in silence.
Absolutely. And this is the kind of things we're going through. And I know that there's a charity that I really want to go and support. And I said this to you, that, I'm thinking of finding how I can go and do a couple of hours of community service. And, when the gentleman spoke, he was saying that, there's mothers and babies coming in where they're so destitute, they don't have food. It's a soup kitchen. And they're just coming in, but they're at the back of the queue because they're too embarrassed to even come forward to get some food. And that's the sort of thing that COVID is literally just highlighting, the disparity that's going on within our community.
Wow.
I'm just so passionate about wanting to help in whatever way I can.
That is so beautiful. And obviously we share a similar ethos in the knowledge that, I want us in the rich society to prosper, so that we can be a blessing to others.
Absolutely.
That's really what it's really about. So that we can be a blessing, so we can support, so that whether it be financially or with time, however, but we want to build ourselves to that point where literally our cup runneth over. Absolutely. And we can share. And this is what you ladies are doing. So I have a question that I want to ask. And it says, knowing what you both know now, what advice would you give to yourself at 20 years old? And that's a cheeky question, because that's coming from Lance.
I would say that all the gifts are inside of you already, and it's about learning to trust who you are. And you are never wrong, because I've always said, and I've just learned this, is that whatever you are doing and whatever you decide to do, it's never wrong. Because you're learning. So if you take the left instead of the right, Tony, the Celestine Prophecy,
which is the book that we're reading.
Absolutely. It really has opened up my eyes in the way of life. Because if you can think about, if I go right, what would have happened? If I go left, what would have happened? But equally, the outcomes that you're going to get is absolutely, and it's there for you at that time.
Yes. So for those of you who might not be familiar, we have a book club, and the book club really is a carefully selected number of books that we study to get the deeper meanings and insights of what was in the mind of the writer. So we go beyond the words and go into what was in the mind of the writer and the author. So this book, if you haven't got it, Celestine Prophecy, I would really encourage you to pick it up if you're at that place where you're looking, searching for your purpose. And one step further, we've recorded all of our sessions. So if you would like to plug into the recorded sessions, which allows you to gain the deep insights and questions and sharings that have gone on from the participants, then we'll put a link in the chat. And so you can find out more about how to join the Rich Societies, or the book club, I should say specifically. So thank you for that insight. Suzette, did you want to say something?
Yeah, could you repeat the question again, please?
So the question was, knowing what you both know now, what advice would you give to your younger self at 20 years old?
Yeah, so that's what it is. Well, for me, what I know now, in terms mainly of spirituality, I think I would have loved to have started the journey that I've started now then.
Right.
Yeah. I think I was very much of that mindset at that age anyway, and questioned a lot. Christian faith, I didn't grow up in it of such, but went along with people, visited church, but struggled with dogma, if I'm honest with you, struggled with the dogma. So I think, yes, that's my answer. That doesn't mean that I still feel strongly as a Christian, but I think that journey of spirituality, and as Laura was mentioning, what we're learning with this, reading that book, I would have been reading books like that. I would have been just developing in that spiritual realm that I am doing now. I would have started it earlier in my life, I think.
But we know that everything is about divine timing. And so the way that you're moving at such speed, you're going to catch up with yourself.
Yeah.
And so I hope that answers your question, Lance. Do we have any other questions from anyone else, or any other comments that you ladies would like to give and sharing? So I just read out a couple of comments. It says, salute to you both. Need more people like you who strive to consciously make a difference in the world. And so true. And that's what we are doing. That's what you are doing. And as I said, there are others within our group who are also striving to do the same. So let's now be strategic in terms of how we bring this together, how we solidify this, how we convey the message and invite others so that they can really have the opportunity to explore themselves in a way that for so many they've never done before. Cool. So I think everyone is pretty much in awe. I think you ladies have really eloquently kind of conveyed your stories individually and collectively. And as we say, now we're embarking on the practitioners program, the training practitioners program. And I'm really, really, really proud of this bold step that you've taken. And I'm honored because, wow, I've got a lot of work to do to make sure that it works. But I have the faith and the confidence that we will be able to match that vision and begin to create your visions in terms of you being able to, as a ripple effect, now be able to do those things that you want to do for different sections of our community. And our vision is that we build a support system that can support certified trainers and practitioners like yourself so that you can focus on doing what you do best whilst being supported by the organization. So, it's a tall order, but without a vision, the people perish. We have to have the vision, because that's what gives us the drive and the determination, and allows like-minded people to be attracted to us. So thank you both once again. Definitely inspiration, and it's just been, for me, an amazing experience. So I want to allow each of you to close us out before we go. Is there anything, any lasting message that you'd like to give to our soul family, as well as people who are hearing you for the first time?
I would like to say that step into faith, because when you step into faith, there's a whole new world that you didn't know existed. And get yourself a mentor and a coach, because they will tap out all the gifts inside of you that you cannot see yourself. And once you start that journey, there's no going back. The possibilities are endless.
Well, thank you for that. And I just want you to just pick up on one thing. You said, get a mentor and step into faith. But the question I have is, how do you step into faith when you don't have the faith? And so what I mean by that is, for many people who are left-minded, that is this, what you just said is the scariest thing, because they can't move. And I had a situation recently where I was engaging with someone who was very left-minded, and they, it's about data and measurements. Give me some facts, then I can determine. Whereas what you're saying is faith. Well, what does it say? Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So when you're working with faith, it's the complete opposite. How do you mean I should move and there's no evidence?
You know what, Tony? If you just have that tiny bit of belief, it's that, they say about the seed of a mustard, the tiny seed, when you plant it, the faith of a mustard, when you plant that seed, because it's the same as our brain. For me, whatever you plant in your mind, it will grow.
No, I totally hear you.
So for me, it's that same analogy. What you plant in the soil, it will grow. And if you just believe in that you have an idea, and you just plant that idea in your mind and you nurture it, that is stepping into faith.
Yeah,
that is the first start of, do you know what? Let's go with it. Let me have the idea and see where it takes me.
Absolutely, 100%. And this is the reason why our focus this year is really just introducing the mind reset course to people. We're not saying come to Tony or come to Suzette or Laura for coaching. We're not even saying that, because we're saying, if our hunch is right, and if we have created this thinking system, well, you can start by just getting a book or just doing the mind reset course, and it will and should open up things for you, so that it would then give you the confidence and give you the faith to take the next step. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope for those people that are listening that they can challenge themselves to take that action. Because we're in this time now, ladies and gentlemen, where it's about proving it, not talking, proving it. So, Suzette, a closing remark from you.
Very similar, because I think it's around faith. But what I found since starting this journey is, by saying yes and stepping out, what I've seen and experienced is that God, the universe, has given me his hand And it's just, everything is just flowing into place. The journey, as I said, it's challenging because it's hard work. But because I found my purpose, it doesn't feel as hard. So it feels almost as if God's saying, here, I've got you. And literally. And there are times when I'm, but I've learned there's always a solution.
Absolutely.
There's always a solution to whatever it is that you're going through. And some of what I'm experiencing, it's because it's hard. But through that discomfort, you grow. So it's a growing experience. If you're wanting to grow, just put your hands out, because the universe will take you.
Right. And this is what we're here for. So if any of what we've said and shared this evening resonates with you, then send us a message, send us a link, connect with us, and let's see how we can help and allow you to grow into that next level version of you. So on that note, I want to say thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this evening. Thank you to my guests, Suzette and Laura, amazing pillars within our community of women who are really visionaries and committed to making a difference. And so you can join us again next week when I think we have certainly a brother, because we haven't seen a brother for a while. So we're going to have an interesting story from him. That much I do know. So thank you so much for joining us. Till next week, it's from me, Tony Dudley, your soul purpose coach, and my lovely angels, Laura and Suzette.
Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.